bird sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be
Hi, everybody. Listen, you caught me in the middle of that groove there. You know, I love that song, and I thank Teresa Griffin for letting me continually use that music because it fits everything that we do here at the Champagne Connection and the Sip of Inspiration. So thank you, Teresa. So now I've settled down. I'm still grooving a little bit. I've got a fantastic guest who has an absolutely awesome story to share. And between the two of us tonight, if you don't walk away from here knowing that you can do anything that you want to do, then you need to listen to it again, okay? Because we're both here to let you know that no matter what happens, you have ultimate control over how your life looks. So for a little bit of housekeeping, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor. You're listening to a Sip of Inspiration or looking at it, however. And if you're looking at us right now, we're live. Okay, it'll be up on all the social media channels in case you did miss it or you want to let a friend know to look at it, so you'll be able to see those too. My website is champagneconnection.com. Okay, so out there's some cool things to do, like get some free information. And you know my email is SEWC@champagneconnection.com, so you can email me anytime you want to. I do want to thank my sponsor, Rise. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply and Equipment. They have been my sponsor since day one of this podcast, and I really do appreciate them. Now, let's go to Trent Brock. I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, and then I'm going to let him tell you more. So I'm going to read a little bit of his bio, and I think he has an incredibly exciting story, even more exciting than mine. So, and that my story was kind of hard to beat, but I love his story. So, because his story includes popcorn, and you all know I love popcorn.
You're right.
Okay, see what I'm saying?
That one.
That's right. You got me on that one. Trent Brock is a 3-time cancer survivor who said doctors told him he should be dead. Now, he and I both have heard that more than once, so we know that they don't have all the answers. Yes, no. So Brock had hip cancer, lung cancer, and pancreatic cancer. And he was told that he had a 5% chance of surviving. That was about 18 months ago. He's been cancer-free ever since. So originally from the U.S., this is what's interesting too. Mm-hmm. He traveled around the world and decided to settle in New Zealand about 17 years ago. He's an IT professional by trade, and he started a kettle corn business with a guy that he met at the boxing gym. Yep. Okay, talking about the universe working really hard to get him to where they wanted him to be.
Yes.
So they didn't have kettle corn in New Zealand. So Trent figured that it would work, and he was right. So they started working at the markets on the weekends, and they progressed to 2 factories, 15 people on his staff, and so many popcorn products that it's hard to count. Trent's company services all the New Zealand supermarkets and international markets, also such as Singapore, Malaysia, South Pacific Islands, and etc. They are the number 2 popcorn in New Zealand. Talking about defying the odds, okay? So thank you for agreeing to talk to me tonight and being on this show.
My pleasure, Stephanie.
Cool, because we've got some stuff to teach people. I
agree, and I'm in the mood.
That's right. Cool. So you've had cancer 3 times.
Yes.
So how did it happen? How did you know? How did you get it? And what was the process like? Because people are afraid of cancer just one time, and you are a 3-time cancer survivor.
Yes. So I'm just I'm working in the popcorn factory. This is the spring of 2019, and I lead from the front. I like to show my guys hands on how to do this stuff. I know how to do everything from cooking to ordering to selling. I mean, when you're a small business, you do it all right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept limping around the factory. And I went to several doctors over a few months, and they all kept telling me the same thing, that I had torn one of my gluteus, like butt muscles, picking up something heavy in the factory. And they give me Tylenol and send me home, and it just kept getting worse. Well, I just so happened to have an appointment to go into the hospital to do some blood work with the hematologist for something totally separate. And she said, "Look, something's going on. We need to do an X-ray." So a week later, I agreed. I did the X-ray, and a week later, as that cliche goes, I got the call that changed my life. Right.
Right.
And that call was that I had aggressive, extensive hip bone cancer. And it was so aggressive that I had about a 1/4 inch of bone holding my leg on. Every step that I took, I was in danger of breaking my leg,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would have to be removed. So I was straight into the emergency room, straight checked into the hospital. And this started about a 6-month saga of trying to create an implant that would fit, and then it didn't. Okay. And so in New Zealand, it's public health care, right? And we know, the same as the US government, anything that's government, run is slow.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the quality is average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But everybody in New Zealand uses this public health care, so I'm the same, right?
All right.
And so what they would do is they would do a scan, or they would do an X-ray. They would try to work this implant. It would take a couple months, and then by the time they're ready to do the surgery, it had progressed. It didn't work. It wouldn't fit. Third time, they're like, "Hey, it's too far. We're taking the leg off." Well, 6 months of all this, in and out of the hospital, a dementia nursing home as well that they put me in for several weeks. I'm on the phone with my parents. I kind of had gotten smarter over time, and they had become my support person. So when I had appointments or meetings, with the doctor, I would have them on speaker. My dad just simply stepped in and he said, "Look, this guy, you don't know this guy like I do. He's a winner. He's not a quitter. He is a fighter. If anybody can do this, he can do it. You have to leave the leg, doc. Just leave it. If you need to cut it off later, that's fine." Doc said, "Well, I'll have to come back to you." Okay, so he did about a week later, and he said, "Look, I can leave the leg, but I can't guarantee anything. I can't guarantee any functionality, and I can't guarantee any feeling. And it'll definitely be shorter than the other." Okay. Because the hip bone is gone. And then at this point, you're dealing with kind of just a jello area. Okay. So if you put any pressure on it, it just kind of pushes upwards. So I would definitely be in a raised shoe on my short leg, and I would need some sort of balance assistance like crutches or a cane, maybe if I was lucky, once I healed up from this. So, okay, we did that. We had the surgery, went fine. But the leg got infected, and we did about 6 more surgeries. We did IV antibiotics. We did all sorts of stuff. Couldn't kick it. Okay. After about 4 months, I was ready to go, and they discharged me, even though we all knew it was still infected, right? Mm-hmm. And so my parents went home. I'm back to work. As a matter of fact, I worked the whole time. Okay. I never stopped working, and it was one of the things that, when you're sitting in a hospital, we wait a lot.
Right.
Well, instead of waiting and thinking and circling that drain and going down it, I was doing something productive. So my staff, my managers would come in for meetings, and suppliers would come to the and we would have a meeting. I couldn't even get out of the bed. Okay. I wasn't even allowed out of the bed. I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. But I'll tell you what, I could type and I could talk. And that's dangerous. Right?
Yes, it is.
So, I got out. We're back to work. We get the next scan. I get the double doozy deal. Okay. lung cancer and hip cancer, the lung cancer and pancreatic cancer. Okay.
Okay.
How is all this happening? I can't believe it. Well, obviously the pancreas thing is more important. It is the more serious. Then I said, I'm sorry, the pancreas thing is the more important than the lung, right? Less than 5% chance to make it.
Exactly.
Between the diagnosis and getting me in for surgery, COVID hit, New Zealand got locked down, and we were caged animals.
Yes, you all were. Yes.
Okay. So I went in, I had the surgery, non-eventful, went fine. And then, upon the debrief of the results, they tried to spin this on me and tell me that, congratulations, you don't have cancer. And I'm like, well, then what was it? And so it was actually a blood clot on my pancreas that was misdiagnosed, and they removed half of my pancreas and the spleen. A lot of times when you move the bottom half of the pancreas, this happens. And that was that. So the consequences of making mistakes at this level in the public healthcare system are you can fill out a complaint that I imagine would be used for less than toilet paper, right?
Right.
They don't care. They don't care. I actually think that they probably thought, well, this guy's pancreatic cancer, we're going to just do a practice surgery on him. Let's let one of these rookies do something. I think that's what really happened. Okay, well, let's move on. Bittersweet. I don't have the cancer because that would have probably killed me. Let's move on. Let's do that. Let's do the. So then we got the lung thing. We book in. We do that. I had a couple of attempts to get there. The first time I had some food poisoning that I got. The COVID rules had eased a bit, and you could at least get takeaway. So I had gotten a kebab from the local shop that I liked. And lucky me, I got food poisoning that held on for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was one of the mean ones, right? And so they decided in the pre-op room after we had done everything, all the tests, stayed there the night before, everything. The surgeon just said, "You're not in good enough shape. We're not doing surgery. Go home." Okay, fine. Send me home in an Uber. I'll wait. A couple weeks later, second time, same deal, same process. In the pre-op room, over the loudspeaker, they call the doctor. There's an emergency in the emergency department. He comes in. He's like, "Look, I can't do surgery today. I got to go take care of this." Second time over. Okay. Third time we had the surgery. Surgery went fine. Okay. Good deal. But the next day upon inspection, it was infected. And so about a week later, the orthopedic that had done the original hip cancer removal had put this, what they call as a lasso. It's basically a piece of metal, a metal wire. Okay. And they drill through the femur head, and then they wrap it through this little piece of bone that I have remaining that looks kind of like an eyelid at the bottom. That's about the only piece of bone I had left on the whole left side.
Okay.
So they put that through and they wrapped it around, and it kept the leg from migrating north. Put me pressure on it and everything because this is jello. Well, they decided that this foreign object was the source of the infection. So I'm under heavy narcotics from this lung surgery, and they say, "Look, we're gonna go in and we're gonna remove the lasso." Well, I guess I agreed to it because the surgery happened. Well, a junior surgeon did the surgery that I wasn't expecting, and he botched me up really bad. Okay, he caused nerve damage issues where I think I need to go to the bathroom when I don't. So imagine being on crutches with an infected hip, dragging this thing around in the middle of the night, trying to get up and go to the bathroom. You get there and you barely have a trickle. Okay. This is what I'm living with.
Okay.
Right? The second thing was he caused a surgical hernia. Basically, this is kind of like a sausage-sized piece of my small intestine that protruded from the surgery, and it would go over the left side of my waistline.
Okay.
Because this is what happened. Would you like to see a little photo or something to kind of give you an idea? It's not bloody or anything.
Okay. Okay.
But it helps people kind of understand. You know what? I like props. And so let me show you this. This is where you can see that the wire.
Okay.
You can see the wire that they put in there. Okay.
Okay.
And then you can see, goodness gracious, everything's backwards. That there's no bone.
No bone, right.
Nothing there. Okay. Right. So let me show you this bit. All right. So this, after it healed up, which is a miracle, is the surgical hernia.
Okay.
That's literally my small intestine. Okay.
Okay.
They can't believe that that even healed up. Okay. So I'm in the hospital. I got an infected lung. I got this hip thing going on. I got a vacuum on me. 2 weeks turned into 2.5 months. Okay. Well, this lung surgeon came in. He's like, "You're doing pretty well. You're leaving tomorrow." Well, I've got all this going on. You know, I got a machine on my hip.
Mm-hmm.
So it would pull off to try to heal the hip up faster. And lo and behold, hey man, they came, they packed me up, they sent me home. Well, after about, I don't know what to do with myself. So I'm back at the factory. I'm having these hot and cold flashes. I'm angry. I'm mean. I'm mad. I'm aggravated. I'm anxiety. I've got these crazy suicidal thoughts. I'm sitting in my underwear in my office with the door closed, right? Going at it, and it dawns on me, I am having withdrawal from methadone. Methadone they use in New Zealand as a pain management drug. It's very good with that.
Okay.
Very good for that, right? But it has a long step down period.
Okay.
And it's highly, highly addictive.
Okay.
I had the same kind of thing with the hip, so I didn't even think about it when I left. So I'm in this gray area. Okay. I can't go to the hospital because they've already discharged me. My GP is like, "We can't prescribe you methadone because they only do that in the hospital."
Okay.
So I'm in this weird situation where they have to, the hospital has to talk to the doctor, and then I have to find a pharmacy that does this and everything. I go to the pharmacy. They treat me like a crackhead because everybody knows methadone is only used to help heroin addicts and opiate addicts, right?
Okay.
And that's how they treated me. You know what? After a couple of weeks of that, because I only get enough to get me through a couple of days, I just said, "Hey, what the heck with it? I'm out. I'm done." So I just did it the hard way. And I got over it. And the suicidal thoughts and the mental thing that did that was worse than any of the health stuff I've ever dealt with. So I have to stop and pause and say that anybody that's ever been addicted to something that is physically addictive and mentally addictive, and it gets a hold to you like that, it is probably the hardest thing that you will ever do. And if you can do that, you can do anything. No doubt. No doubt. Okay, so let's move on, right?
Okay.
Get over that. Next scan. No, you do have pancreas cancer. No,
Okay.
for sure.
For sure. Okay.
For sure. So I'm like, well, and luckily, since I had the best pancreas surgeon in the country that misdiagnosed me, I got the same guy, they want to take it out. And I said, well, I need a biopsy this time. You wouldn't do one last time. I want one this time. Took several months, got a biopsy. It's cancer.
It's cancer.
Right?
Okay.
At this point, I'm smart enough to where I'm saying, "Hey guys, send me the scans. I can read them good enough to know what's going on." This thing, when they found it, was that big on the first scan. When I finally had the biopsy, it was this.
Oh my God.
Okay. Time was running out. I could look in the mirror and tell you I was dying. I wasn't going to lie to myself. I looked like death walking. I had to do something quick. I started going to private doctors. Everybody had the same thing. A private radiology guy told me, "This is sticking into your stomach. We can't do surgery. We can't do radiation. You could die from either of these surgeries. I won't do it." Okay. Well, what are my options? To go home and wait to die, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm like, okay, well, I have exhausted all my possibilities in New Zealand. And the thing was, I didn't want to come home because I didn't have health insurance. Why would I need health insurance? In the US, I haven't lived here for, almost 20 years.
Right.
But my dad and I started talking and figured out that through some of the changes in the healthcare, pre-existing conditions, you could still get health insurance. Okay. So I did, and it was expensive, and I figured it out, and I proved it. So I called the local clinic where my folks live, and I just said, look, I'm coming home. Here's the deal. You read through 500 pages of my reports from New Zealand, and he said, get here as soon as you can. I packed up and left. I was here in a week. I got off the plane. I came to see the radiation guy. And he said, look, if we don't do something, you're going to die from this for sure. But we got better machines. Mm-hmm. And your concerns are concerns, but they're not as life-threatening as maybe you think. Okay, let's go for this. We did the radiation. Okay. A couple months later, get the scans, get the report. No evidence of cancer, right?
Right.
At the time they started the radiation, the cancer was this big, the size of a softball. I couldn't eat. I was nauseous. It was miserable. But hey, we got through it, right? So right. We won. And so then it's on to this chronic infection. So I had a senior advisor at the University of Arkansas Medical Center. And he said, look, I got a guy up in Northwest Arkansas where you are. Go see him about this infection in your hip. Okay. Little bitty fella, works out, cocky, guy, knows everything. Right. A little bit like me. A little bit like you, just a little bit, right? Yeah. And he said, look, we got drugs they don't have in New Zealand. I think we can beat this. And if any of the doctors say that we have it, I'll go to bat for you. This is kind of how it goes. Okay. So we did 3 months of IV antibiotics.
Okay. I
nailed it. We
got it.
The whole time, right, while I'm working through all this stuff of beating the cancer and trying to get this infection, here's the thing, right? If you have an infection or you have been diagnosed with an infection in anywhere in your body, most likely you will not get a big surgery. You have about an 80% chance to get reinfected if they open you up. No surgeons want that, especially right here by my hip where all my organs are.
Right.
Okay? So we have to prove, overprove, and prove to anybody and everybody. So that's what we did. Okay. So I go back to my senior advisor at the U of A Medical Center. He advised me to this guy at Mayo Clinic that does hip implants that no one else can do. He takes these challenges of infections and things. So what had happened with this hip is they told me from the start, we have so much bone and so much tissue. You don't have anything to actually physically bolt an implant to. Mm-hmm. It's not possible. This is your life. I couldn't live with that. I just couldn't. I just can't. I cannot think for the rest of my life I'm going to be on crutches and I don't have my hands and I can't carry my own dinner plate to the table. I just can't deal with it. So, you just keep on keeping, right?
Right.
And so we agreed that we were going to do a series of surgeries over several months, and we were going to put this hip implant in. So let me show you about 3 or 4 weeks ago, about 5 weeks ago. This is what we got.
Okay.
That is about 7 screws, 3 bolts, 2 surgeries over about 18 hours over 2 days. Largest, most complex hip implant ever done. I got about 3.5 inches back and about three and a little bit back. So I'm not quite back there yet on my full length, but hey, let's see what happens. So I tried to make, that 4 years or so a brief story for you. And that's kind of it. So where do you want to go from here?
So how did you, I mean, during the whole 4 years of the up and downs, we can't help you, and you're determined that you are going to stay on this side of the earth for a little longer. What things did you do? What were you telling yourself? How did you talk to yourself to make sure that you stayed in a state to where you could be successful? Because I think that's the most important part there is
Absolutely.
what do you say to yourself? How did you stay uplifted? How did you stay ready and in the fight for your life?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I just, I'm like everybody else. I've never had a major health issue. I just listen to the experts and they know everything. I don't know anything. And, for a couple of years, I kind of listened to them. And then I'll tell you what, one day I was on the phone with my parents, and usually they would listen on speakerphone with me in the appointments. And then afterwards we would call each other and we would talk about the appointment, right? The details. We had an appointment with my public pancreas guy. And I could just hear the despair and the hopelessness and the helplessness in the voices of my folks, that their son was dying and there was nothing they could do about it. And you know what? I decided, I've been teeter-tottering back and forth. I've been thinking about hanging myself, taking my own life. I've been thinking about giving up, and this is miserable. I hate this. Waiting to die, I think, is worse than just going straight out, right?
Okay.
And so I decided it was time. You have to make a decision. My decision was, or my goal was, I was going to live. What was my reason? My reason was because my parents weren't going to bury me. I'm going to bury them. There is a proper order to things in life, and this is not the way we're going to do this. Not on my watch. I'm going to literally die trying. And so then what happens is, okay, great. What are you going to do about this?
Exactly.
You're in a less than 5% chance make it situation, buddy. All right. So I started putting up little Post-its, right?
Yeah.
I put one up, and I put the same Post-it up in the car, in the office, in my bathroom, and in my living room, the 4 places that I go the most, right? That reminded me what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, right? Because a lot of times when it gets tough, the reason that motivates you has to be bigger than even the reason or the goal.
Right.
And if you need a timeout, because we're only human, take a timeout. You get some news that rocks your world, that starts to potentially change your mindset that you can't handle, take an afternoon off. Take a few hours off. That's what I would do, right? And I would just say, hey, you know what? Okay, I got some terrible news from the doctor today. I'm going to absorb this. I'm going to think about it all night. I'm not going to make any decisions. If I can't, I'm going to weigh my options, and I'm going to, in the morning, I'm on. I'm back on. I'm going to try to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to try to get a good meal. I'm going to do the best I can. And in the morning when I get up, I'm going to put my pants on. I'm going to get out the door, and I'm going to make a decision of one of those options, and I'm going to do this, right?
Right.
I muttered in my misery for an evening. I let myself be sad and sorry. But hey, you gotta put your big boy pants on and get after it. Okay. So I knew that I needed massive change, right? I wasn't eating right. I couldn't go to the gym. My mental health was a wreck. I mean, I'm just hanging on by a thread. And so I knew that I had to change everything, right? So I started changing my diet. And I just started simple, right? I just, I cut the sugar out. I cut the sodas out. I cut out the fast food as best as I could. And if I did fast food, I would try to make a good, healthy decision, right? And then, I was about 40 pounds overweight. I had to start losing weight. It was the contributing factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obesity is like the number 4 contributing factor to cancer, right? So I can't have this leg carrying around a freaking, bag of concrete as well. So I got to lose some weight. So I started doing that. And then, so the physical thing started, right? The health thing. Then it's like, okay, 5 minutes of yoga. I couldn't even touch my toes. I couldn't even bend over. But I started doing chair yoga, right?
Yep.
Just do a little stretching.
Yep.
Just do a little more, right? And after several weeks, I got my butt to the gym. On my birthday, the same week that they told me I had terminal pancreatic cancer and I was going to die. Because basically, I was just like, you know what? I don't care what anybody says. I'm making decisions like I'm going to be here.
Right.
Like I'm going to live. And that's what you do. And I started going to the gym and working that leg out and getting in shape because I knew that one day, I don't care what anybody said, I was going to find somebody that was going to give me an implant, and I was going to get that length back. I just knew it. I had to trust it. My spiritual life began to change. I've been a Christian all my life. But I'll tell you what, you think you're fixing to go see God? You talk to him a lot. A heck of a lot, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And so we had a lot of talks. And my spiritual life began to get stronger. And you know what? If I wasn't in my factory doing something to progress my business, I was trying to do something positive to influence the outcome of my life, which would be miracle sermons, self-help podcasts, positive uplifting music, meditating. Some of these meditations I've done, I don't know how it works or whatever, but it will 10 or 15 minute meditation every day where I would do this thing, right? Where it's, I don't know if you know this one, but this is one of the ones that the Cancer Society used to do in New Zealand. It was leaves on a river, right? And so do you know that one? Where the leaves fall off and your problem's in that leaf and it's in this stream and it goes down the stream and adios it goes. Well, guess what? When my leaves go over, it's Niagara Falls and it smashes them.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I had to do, right? And if I got knocked back real good, I'd take a timeout, just like you would on a football team. Let's take a timeout. Let's go to the sidelines. Let's talk to the coach. Your coach may be your pastor, your counselor, your best friend, your parents. I don't know. But talk to them and figure out what's your next option. What's your next play? And the next morning, you got to get in that game and you got to try to get some yards. Because when you're playing a game, the only play that matters is this play right. It doesn't matter yesterday.
That's right.
It doesn't matter if you lost a few yards yesterday, or you're going to gain a few tomorrow. You're on the play right now today. And this is what I would do. I would go online and I would find somebody somewhere that had beaten cancer, that had a pancreatic tumor, right? And if this one guy can do it, I can do it because I'm doing all these things to help me. And I know that no one else is doing as much as I did, right? And so when I lay my head down at night and I'm listening to my miracle sermons, and by the way, I'm the one that's in the story. I'm the one that was the knight in shining armor that saved the kingdom. I'm the one that won the lottery, right? I visualized everything. I visualized this tumor shrinking. The doctor calling me and saying, "You are all clear, Trent." Because and my first touchdown, right? That cancer done. The second one was, we got that chronic infection done. And the third one was, we're working on this hip. So, I think, people, if they will step outside of their situation and they say, you know what, I'm going to play this like a game, right? One of my favorite games is football. I'm from the South. I'm a dude. You can't blame me, right?
Right.
So, that's how I equated everything. Somebody's on my team that I didn't like. Hey, I traded them. That could be a doctor. That could be a negative friend. That could be anything. Because I'm the quarterback. I'm running this and I'm losing and I better get some touchdowns or I'm going to lose this game and it's going to be over Red Rover, right? So, that's kind of, some of the things. I'll give you one other analogy that I like to use because people like to prod you a little bit, right? Sometimes they say, "Oh, well, aren't you nervous that you have had cancer 3 times? Aren't you afraid you're going to get it again?" I'm like, no. And let me tell you why. Because I view my life like a deck of cards, right? I got a few really bad cards quite early. They almost killed me. They almost put me out of the game. But I played those cards. I put those out there, right? I got new cards. And right now, my hand is pretty good. And I'm going to play the best hand I can. And when some of those cards go, I'm getting a new one. And you play that card, you can't play it ever again, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I got one other thing for you, okay?
Okay.
I firmly believe in what you say affects you. If you don't think so, try to tell me something without saying it out loud. I can't hear you, right?
Right.
If you don't say it out loud, the universe doesn't hear you. So somebody would say something negative to me. One of the doctors would tell me something. You know what, man? I would just talk right over them and say, well, you know what, doctor, thank you so much for your diagnosis, but I want to tell you, I will be one of those 5% people. And so let's book our next appointment because I'll be here to see you. Would you like to do over a year out? And they look at you like you're crazy. And you know what? You have to be a little bit crazy. But I'm crazy and alive.
Yes, you're right. I remember some of those conversations with my basal skull fracture. I think only 4% at that time of people survived them. So I wasn't supposed to survive. So I told the doctor, if you want to get paid, you're going to come in that room saying, "Oh, Stephanie, you are doing so much better today." I says, because I will make sure the insurance company doesn't pay you. And it works. What you tell yourself and what you allow other people who are in that you see in a powerful position in your life to say to you is incredibly important. So watch even what they say.
That's it.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
I would just bathe myself in positivity. I would wake up in the middle of the night saying a scripture,
Right.
saying some self-help something, singing some positive song about, I believe I can fly.
Right. Right.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
Right.
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 But nothing negative ever, never, ever. You got enough negative going at you.
That's right.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about this popcorn in New Zealand.
Oh,
I love popcorn.
Yeah, you're angling for some, aren't you?
I am. It's like, oh, popcorn from New Zealand. Yes.
Yeah. Send me one of those shirts and I'll give you some popcorn.
Okay, cool.
I like swag. I'm a swag guy. Yeah.
And I know you're running it from home, right?
Correct. Yes. Like right here from this chair.
That's right. That's fantastic. So
Sure.
I know people talk about how it's done, but all too often some of us don't get a chance to see it being done and how it's being done. So that way, sometimes we lose, I guess, a confidence in ourselves to be able to reach out and reach beyond where we're trapped or where we've trapped ourselves into. So that's a good example that no matter what, you're still running and owning your popcorn business.
Well, you have to be smart, right? You got to have a couple people that are in charge that you trust. And then you need cameras because they don't lie.
Okay.
Okay. And so literally, I could see somebody in the factory. I wait till they're on break and I call them when they're on break because I can see them from cooking popcorn to bagging something to going out front. Right. I call them on break and I say, I know what you were doing. I saw you. Don't do that again. They think God has saw them. Because I'll tell you what, you know what? I love this. People just can't stop doing rumors. Everybody thinks that those are fake cameras. Okay. Yeah. They don't think they work. And they do. They do. And so, that helps to keep people honest, right? And, you just have some checks and balances. And, here's the thing, right? I've learned over all this kind of stuff, I have perfected the trust of my conscience.
Okay.
And if I feel like something fishy's going on, it's going on.
Okay.
I know, and I just know. So, on a hunch, I can even call somebody in and start asking them questions to lead them into what they've done. And I don't even know they've done it, but I know they've done it.
Right.
And so I mean, it's like anything, right? When your parents are gone, the kids play, right?
Exactly.
So I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. But it's okay, right? Have a little fun. I know you're going to bend some rules, okay? But get your popcorn made.
Exactly.
And let's pay the bills, because your kids want to eat. They want Christmas presents, right? And you want to get paid for your holidays. So we have to make some popcorn.
That's right. So
it's so simple. Everybody tries to complicate life and make it so hard, and this difficult expert formula about everything. It ain't hard. It's a few simple steps, right? With some hard work and resilience. That's it. That's all there is to it. It ain't rocket science, and it ain't hard. Anytime I felt like giving up, I would go back to that feeling that I had the day I was sitting in my car talking to my folks and said, you know what? I'm not dying on them.
Okay.
That's what I would do, right?
Right.
That's exactly what, because I already made that decision. So I made that decision. And once you make a decision, you can't change it. It's forever. That's a forever decision.
Right. That's a forever decision. That's
right. And so, I mean, hey, we make decisions every day, right? And we change our mind in that. But these kind of things are those kind of decisions where they're long-term and they're permanent. And so you have to go back, because we're humans and we start to doubt. And we start to do this, and when the grass is greener on the other side, or I should have done this, I should have done that. No, you shouldn't. If you are a Christian, and you don't even have to be a Christian, right? Because you got a conscience.
Right.
And if you know that you feel good about the decision you made, you have to trust it. You have to trust it, right?
That's right. You have to trust it. You need to trust that you have what it takes to do it, especially when it looks like you don't have.
Oh, yeah.
Right. You have to, that's when you have to trust it the most. Because when we know we're winning, that's easy to trust.
Oh, yeah. Piece of cake.
Yeah, that's a piece of cake. It's like you said, we're playing this game now. We don't know what's going to happen, but you're going to have to trust that you're going to do your best, and that no matter what happens, it's what you learn that's important, and then that will keep you on track. So when you were going through this, and I know you were training your mind and making sure that you weren't your enemy. Okay.
Oh, I was for a long time.
Right.
My worst.
Right. Because sometimes we are our worst enemy. So when you're training your mind and you're starting with meditation, and I know you're sticking to some of those tools still, but are there ones that you liked better than others, or ones that you would recommend for people, or you just like them all?
I love it. I love an accent, right? I love this foreign accent. That's part of the reason I like to go overseas, because I like to hear people talk. Right.
Okay.
So what was wonderful for me is the Cancer Society in Auckland, where I lived. They had some of these meditations, and I listened to several of them, but the ones that resonated with me were the one about the leaves on a river, right, and being a tree in the forest. So that the tree where you're firm, and I think you may even be by a stream. I like to actually kind of combine those two together.
Okay.
For me, because it makes sense that if you're going to be a tree, you're by a stream, because you need living water. Okay.
Yeah.
So I used, those were the two, and you know what? I'll listen to something. I probably listened to those two meditations. I probably listened to a couple hundred times each.
Okay.
I just listen to them, and I listen to them, and I listen to them, and I listen to them, because this is a hard head, and it is very hard to change my mind. And so I have to renew my mind. I have to get in there with this practical thought and change that, and believe that even though this is impossible, it's possible.
Right. Because everything is possible. I know when the basal skull fracture, I just decided that I was not going to die. I had a teenage son, and that just wasn't going to work. Okay. It's like, and I said, God, this isn't going to work. I'm sorry. We're going to do something different here. We're going to have to make it through this because this is not going to work. And I believe that. And you're right. You'd be surprised when we step back and look at what we really want and really commit to having it. It's the meditation, the prayer, the quiet, and you spend a lot of time in meditation, prayer, and quiet. And people think that that'll take away from you achieving things, but I think it actually speeds your achievement up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree because I think you can do things faster without sitting there wondering, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
The decision just comes to you more quickly, more easily, and you trust it more.
Right.
Because these things, and here's the deal. Don't get cocky and stop. Because everything's good. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get your little tugboat too full. You're going to start drowning again. And you're going to wish that you were doing all these things that you should have been doing. And guess what? It's probably not too late, but it may be. You have to be consistent, right? Human beings have to be consistent with that stuff. And it's not hard. It doesn't take a long time. These meditations that I'm talking about, each one of them is like 10 or 12 minutes. That's it.
That's true. That's true. You're right. So because my total prayer time is about, and it includes a meditation too, about an hour a day, and then another hour later on, and that's not a lot of time when you think about it.
Well, it is and it isn't, compared to some people, but not compared to others, And here's the thing: you can't compare yourself to anybody. You on your path today, doing you. Right.
That's right. That's right. So, what's your next thing that you're going to do?
Yeah, cool. Well,
what? This popcorn. I think people should have popcorn.
I do too. I think people should have a bag of my popcorn while I tell them about this great inspirational, hero story thing, right?
Yes, they should. That's right.
I'll tell you, I'm certified as a speaker and a coach. I've done that on the side, and I've learned that I was all about success and money. That was my drive, and through all this, I've really learned that I get my real joy is from helping people, whatever it may be. And, that's kind of what I like to do now. And that's kind of what I am doing. I'm co-authoring a book with several other people that's coming out around December.
Okay.
It's several different people that have had different types of trauma in their life. And their stories. So I have a chapter in this book. I've been encouraged by, I can't tell you how many people, to write my own book. So I'm working on that as well. And, that's just some of the stuff that I'm doing, on the extra. And, I've got some friends that I help here and there. And, I do some coaching, and, I can do coaching with people from anything to, let me help you to prepare for a doctor's appointment to a surgery.
Yes.
Because I've done it all.
Right.
I can ease your mind. I can answer your questions. I know what it's like. I've been on all the sides, and I know what it's about. And the formula that I use to help people overcome challenges in their life that they can't overcome is the same formula that I use to beat cancer. That's all.
Okay.
It's not hard.
Right.
But you know what? You need somebody that you get along with, that you believe in, that you want to listen to, that you trust, and that you don't want to disappoint if you haven't, done what you agreed. And, I'm not a hard coach. I'm not a mean coach. It's your deal. It's your thing. And if you didn't do it, most of the time, people just kind of feel bad. And then the next week they get whatever done they needed to get done, because it's for them, not me,
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. And sometimes I think, you didn't do that, right? But it's for them at their pace.
Yeah. Here's the deal, you paid me to be here for my undivided attention, and that's what you got. And so I'm here to help you along the way. And you get stumped, I'm going to help you get through that.
Well, I know you've learned, like I learned, that it's nothing like being told you're going to die to get real clear about what you want in life, right?
That's right.
That's
Yep.
right. So for those of you who wondering how to get clear, I recommend a near-death experience, but not everyone. But not everyone.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just not very often.
That's right. But not everyone can have those. So just pick something you want to do and get started toward it, because if it's the wrong way for you, the universe will correct your path, but get started.
Yeah.
Get started going the way you want to go. And as Trent has verified, same as I believe, meditation is key. Meditation, knowing what you want, being careful about how you talk to yourself, what you say to yourself, and being careful about what you allow other people to try to make you believe is true. Because I know in your experience, you were told everything other than you were going to live.
That's right.
So,
You're exactly right. Yeah.
So have you reached out to them to let them know that you're still here?
No. My plan is when I'm walking, because I've got 6 months or so with this leg. I can't put any weight on it. I have to wait until the bone fuses into the implant, and it's a long, complicated deal. But hey, you know what? In about a year, I'm just gonna walk down the street. I'm gonna tip my hat, because I got the phone numbers, I got the emails of these people, and I'm not gonna be rude, right?
No.
I'm just gonna say, you know what? Thank you for what you did. I want you to know that you did. You did. I know you did what you could do, the best you did, and and I'm in the States now, and I'm still here, and this is what happened. And I'm still here to tell about it. That's what God wants me to do.
That's right.
That's why I'm still here.
That's right. Right.
And you know what? God bless you. Right.
Right.
God bless you for what you did for me.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for joining me for today's podcast. As my audience knows, I love to present guests who can help us think about ways to live our best lives, to not give up on ourselves, because there's no need to give up on ourselves, but you don't hear that so much. So it's really nice when real people come on and who've overcome some tough things to let us know that we can do it too. So tell us how they can reach out to you if they want to talk to you, or perhaps
you could book me for a podcast, or a stage thing, or just you want to say hello, or you need some. I don't care. Say hello, right? Join my Facebook. I love people. Okay, I don't care. Trent Brock at yahoo.com. I also have my Facebook, Trent Brock. My Insta is Trent B. Brock. And then I'm also on LinkedIn as Trent Brock.
Okay. So you guys know how to reach him. Please reach out. Sometimes people just need to talk to somebody who've been through what they've been through. And that helps a whole lot if you can do that. So
I'm here for that.
That's
I'm
right.
here for that. Just easily, right? Yep.
So as we close, I want to remind you that may this day offer you just what you need in every unfolding moment. Trust your greatness and please embrace your power. I want you to be inspired and to further notice. Just celebrate everything, okay? Do not go gently into that good night. Find a heel worth dying for and take it. Be the person that you've been waiting for. Make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous, and above all else, do it your way. And remember, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the empowerment doctor, who always believes that with the right pair of shoes, I can accomplish anything.
Woo-hoo!
Right. You guys have a great evening now, and thank you very much for listening to this podcast now live, and even thank you to those who will catch it later. Bye now.
Okay. Awesome.
to drink cheap champagne. So I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberry